Well, hi everyone. Today I am joined with Tim Flors and thank you. Hi, Tim. Welcome so much to the Planners on Purpose podcast.
Naomi, thanks for having me. Really appreciate it. Looking forward to our chat today.
Yes, I'm looking forward to it too. So I would love if you would just tell our audience just a little bit about you and how you came to be at Group 360.
No, absolutely. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you for listening today. So Tim Flors. I'm actually currently based in Nashville, Tennessee, where Groups360 is its headquarters. However, my history kind of started off in Cleveland, Ohio, down to Florida, back and forth between Nashville and Orlando a few times. But I've been a hotelier at heart for pretty much my entire career, and always on the meetings and event side, whether it was working at small focus service hotels all the way to large convention hotels like Gaylord Hotels, and then even working for Marriott as a global seller. So meetings and events has been in my blood since forever, however long as I can remember. And so when we started the company 9 years ago, it was really how do we solve the meetings and events side for really both sides of the community, not only the meeting planner side of the community, which is where we focus most of our effort on, but how do we also do it from our old world, right? The hotel community as well, to make it easier for them. So it's been really, really exciting. But yeah, my entire history essentially has been on the hotel side. We're 9 years in technology.
Oh, so what made you stick with the hotel side? I myself, if you probably didn't know this, but I started off at the hotel. I work with the Hyatt Resorts properties.
Yep.
So I ended up moving into event planning. So what continued that love for just hospitality for you?
I think it's just people in general, right? I love meetings and events, the meeting planners I've met throughout the years, the creativity that people have in creating really unique events for whatever that attendee type is, whether it's an internal sales kickoff or their annual association meeting. It's amazing how people think creatively about how to attract attendees to their meeting, how they think about finding the right venue for their destination. And so that's why I stayed into it as long as I did in my career. And that's why I'm still really excited to still be involved with those same meeting planners that I worked with for years. And now just having a technology solution to have it available to them. But that's why I still can't leave it, Naomi. Although I don't work in a building of a hotel,
Mhm.
I can't leave it. I think the pandemic taught us, I think, a lot of things though, but it showed the value of in-person conversation
Absolutely.
and meetings. And that's why it'll always be in my blood. Just being around people, being around that environment and excitement is just something I'm passionate about.
Yeah, I totally can relate. It's so much creativity. Once you're in, you just can't let it go. So, and I'm excited to hear that you have solutions for the industry. It sounds like what prompted your move from Gaylord to Group 360 is really solving a need. Is that correct?
That's exactly right. I mean, we saw it was the RFP process has been broken and it's super complex, right? I mean, there's just a lack of visibility and transparency. Like if you're an event planner, right? If you, let's say we wanted to go do a meeting in 3 weeks in Orlando right now, we'd have to go to a legacy system, find a handful of hotels, source those, and then fingers crossed, wait to see if it's available and what rates, if those hotels were available, that those would come back at. Just super inefficient. So what we
Right.
wanted to do is, how do I make that a better buying experience with better information for me and you to book a meeting in Orlando in a handful of weeks from now, that we can make better decisions without even talking to a hotel, just by them providing us better information. And so that's been our whole goal, is if I can make the meeting planner experience better and more information forward, giving better general information about market rates, better
Mhm.
information about availability at hotels, better information about group pricing at hotels before we talk to a property, we're we're a lot more efficient as the planner community, but it's also, we're a much better lead if I'm that hotel receiving this RFP, even if it was a larger meeting and event. And so that's what really drove us to try to figure out a way to solve that side, because by solving the meeting planner's pain point and having a sole focus on the planner and the attendee experience, you end up solving the hotel's
Yeah.
problems and angst that they have as well. So you end up solving both by focusing on the planner.
Yeah, and I think that's amazing. And with event planners, there's so much that's hard. I think in hospitality and in the event industry, there's just so much that can definitely be more efficient. So that's why I'm excited to have this conversation with you and dig a little deeper into Group 360 and the solutions that it provides to event professionals, organizers, and anyone that's looking to book properties and make it be easier. And it's not just properties too. It sounds like it's, quite more than just booking the hotel. Is that correct?
It will be. So right
Will
now
be.
we're focused right now on hotel sleeping rooms and hotel meeting space, including catering and equipment within that meeting space. Where we're
Yes.
looking to go in the future is adding additional venues, especially as we get out of the US. There's not a lot of hotels that have great rooms and great space all together in one singular building. And so we likely might have to contract a hotel and a separate venue for meeting space. So how can I do that in a simple online way as well? So we'll be getting into that here probably early 24.
Yes. I mean, but just meeting space and, equipment, that's just a big step in the right direction.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Just have transparency around it. Right. If you knew that the gallon of coffee was $150 before you went to go book the hotel, you'd be like, I might consider a different property if that was a little out of my budget. Or just having that knowledge in the front end just makes you a better consumer to your end user buyer to say, hey, heads up, this is what this is looking like. And you don't even need to talk to the hotel yet.
Yes, yes. So let's just kind of get into this a little bit. And I want to talk about what helped fuel what Group 360 is working on. I know that you received notable investments from Accor, IHG, Hilton, and Marriott, which are just amazing. I can't even imagine the excitement that you all must have went through with that support.
Oh, no, listen, the investment received in 19 was great, not only for obviously the dollar amount, but really the partnership and the brands coming together and saying, all right, they're understanding that let's not sell the way that we want to sell. Let's sell the way the consumer is looking to buy. And then oftentimes is in an experience where it's a multi-branded experience, where again, you as a planner, it's going to be hard for you to go to Hilton.com, then the Marriott.com, then IHG.com, then to Accor.com to try to find the right location for your meeting, right? We're going to likely go to an aggregation where I see all those brands within one user experience. And I think that's been really beneficial, but also those brands' commitment to providing live inventory onto the platform, whether that's rooms and or meeting space, but also even just for that larger event, right? Having that 500-person event, probably can't book that directly online, or maybe I'm not comfortable booking that directly online for a group of that size. But it'd be really great to know if these hotels are available before I send the RFP,
Right.
to have a general idea of what it looks like. Because right now, it's literally I'm calling Miss Cleo, hoping that something's going to come back that I have, and that's not really the best way to do business, right? And that's where we work with the hotel community, that the better and more information you can provide to the meeting planner, the better their experience is going to be, and the easier in the end the hotel selling experience is going to be, because they're going to have a better consumer to talk to.
Yeah, yeah. And
And
I,
so,
I totally agree. Go ahead.
yeah, so that's been the really great part with the brands, is their partnership to really get that information out and available to the meeting planning community, and then also trying to get that all the way down to the attendee level. How do I actually, I'm sure we'll talk about this later, talk about the attendee and how do I actually get them to get to my property at the hotel.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely. So let's talk about the event planners in the process. So I was able to go on and check things out, and it's a very easy process in order to really start off and start your search with Groups 360 for properties. Tell us about the number of properties that you currently have on the platform, and the availability of the search that event planners have access to.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, to your point, Amy, if for anyone who wants access to GroupSync, literally go to either groupsync.com or groups360.com, put in your first name, last name, email address, and you're essentially off to the races to begin your search. But while you're in your search, you will have access to send RFPs over 200,000 properties globally in 225 territories and countries. In addition to that, you will have access to see live rooms inventory and or space inventory at right around 10,000 properties globally. And so you'll see that throughout different markets. Some of the hotels will be indicated by an instant booking button. And oftentimes from the brand side, that's determined by the size of the group. And currently that's typically right around 10 rooms on peak to 25 rooms on peak. And again, we have some brands that are going to be offering groups that are a little bit larger, up to 50 rooms on peak later this summer. And I think as we get larger properties and as we head to the Vegas market here shortly, I have a feeling that that number is going to even increase further than that, right? Because a smaller, simpler meeting to properties of that size just look and feel a little bit differently to those size of hotels.
Mm. I think that's amazing. And even with the size, because as we know, planning for a group of 20 people can be probably the same as planning for a group of 200 sometimes. So I feel
Same or
like
worse. Yeah.
yeah. So it actually really cuts down and helps things be way more efficient. So I feel like that would be definitely helpful to event planners and what's on their desks.
No, I agree. And I think that the feedback we're hearing back from the planning community today is this has simplified my process of just the back and forth for smaller meetings and events. Because exactly your point, 1,000-person meeting takes just about the same amount of time as a 25-person meeting, right? And oftentimes for some hotels, it's the same contract that you have to sign for either size group. And so our brand partners have had fairly flexible terms on their online contracts that you can sign 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 to book your smaller meetings and events. So all of a sudden, you have a hectic work day. I couldn't get to book that meeting for next Wednesday. Hey, no problem. I can do it after I have dinner tonight, put the kids to sleep, and I can quickly book my rooms, book my space, book my catering, add my AV, and be done all online and be done literally in a matter of minutes. So saving the back and forth. And again, not to harp on the hotel community, but they've had a hard time coming back from a staffing point post-COVID. And unfortunately, they're still experiencing some of that today. And it's also different in different markets, right? And so they're having a hard time sometimes responding back to these leads. And sometimes the smaller the lead, the less attention they're going to get at a property level if I was short staffed. And so the instant booking solution is really the way to simplify that process. You don't have to wait 2 or 3 days following up with the hotels to get back. It's nope, the inventory's here. I can see transparent group pricing that I can't see anywhere else. I can go ahead and I could book that today.
Yeah, I think that just to me, it just blows my mind. And I think that I think it's great. And I guess some of the questions that come up are, let's say if we have pre-existing software or systems in which, let's say, people are working with, in terms of them being a group or organization. Do you have any current integrations with Group360 that, let's say, it could possibly work with other tools that people are already on?
We're having some conversations with some of our larger enterprise users to connect to their BI tools and some of their reporting type tools.
Okay.
And that's kind of some of the work that we're investigating right now, as well as some SSO work, right? And so they want to make sure that single sign-on is available to their employees. So as they come on the entity, they don't have to have a group sync login. You work for IBM, for instance, you then all of a sudden, if you have the right permissions at IBM, you don't have access to group sync to book hotels.
Yeah. And what about and that would be the same as like registration software or tools, right? That people are that planners probably have access to that they're using. Is Group360 looking at expanding into different registration tools as well? Or yeah, I would love to hear more about that.
Yeah, phenomenal question. I mean, that's absolutely something that we're looking to do and have more partnerships on the registration side. And I hope to be able to share with you either on a future episode or just via press release here in the next few months of a partnership we're looking to announce in the registration space.
Oh, okay. That sounds great. I would love to hear that.
Yeah,
awesome.
Because the registration space is really tied more to our, what we call attendee management, the housing experience of how do I just booked this group going back to Orlando, booked my group in Orlando over at Orlando World Center. How do I actually get my attendees there? And so oftentimes that attendee's got to register for the conference and they have to turn around and reserve a guest room at the hotel. So how can I kind of bring those together? We don't do reg today, but how can I bring the registration and the guest room part together in a really unique way? So we're going to kind of a stair-step approach of kind of the most ideal solution, but we've got some interesting partnerships that we'll be announcing here shortly.
Yeah, I think that's great. And I'm also just thinking about the fact that it can cut down on the amount of time in let's say, when you can use the tool. It can be any time. That should really help planners just overcome any other issue or any other challenge or obstacle it might be to utilize Group 360. To me, I feel like the time saver alone is definitely a plus for them.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's very interesting when we look at the time that these direct bookings happen again.
Mhm.
Still, a majority of them happen during the kind of normal 9 to 5 in a given time zone, but there's still a great portion of our bookings that happen during after hours, nights and weekends, and which is what you'd expect, right? That
Yep.
oftentimes, I know your audience is mostly like professional CMP type planners, but a
Mhm.
lot of people become planners by association that, hey, I'm the admin to the CEO, and she just told me she wants to go ahead and do a meeting next week. I'm all of a sudden a meeting and event planner now. That wasn't not my job description, but now I need to go ahead and go and do that process. And so
Mhm.
that person is
Understood.
really struggling and saying, when do I have time to do this? I have to do my normal day job. And oftentimes the only time I have is on nights and weekends to really accomplish what I'm looking to get done.
Oh, yeah, and I can see that too. I can see it really being not a competitor. I don't want to say that, but just helping out just that workload factor, right? Too with what's on the event professional's desk. And I can see that other people now are in that role of event professional. And how easy is it now
No,
for them to
exactly.
do that?
I mean, it's still always bananas to me. I mean, you and I can go to Carvana. We can go buy a car online today. We can go buy a house online today if we wanted to. And the fact that it's taken our industry this long to get comfortable with booking meeting space and rooms online is still kind of crazy, but it's exciting, and it's going to take time to continue to evolve.
Mhm.
And I think that's the truly exciting part about what's going on right now at Groups 360 and with the product of Group Sync is the feedback we're receiving from meeting planners. Their second meeting they book online, they start getting disappointed that, well, I just want to book a 100-room group here. Like, I'm great. Where you would think initially, man, that's a lot of people. Like, how would you sign an online contract? You feel comfortable doing that? But
Mhm.
consumers who did it the first time, they're comfortable doing it again. I mean, would your first online purchase ever have been a car on Amazon? Probably
No.
not, right? You might have bought a book or a pack of gum, whatever it might have been. But over time, like, I bought TVs on Amazon and I never thought I'd buy a TV on
Mhm.
Amazon, right? And
Yeah.
just over time, your comfort level gets there. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Again, you and I connect in a year from now, 24 months from now. I think the user behavior that we see is going to be really unique. And I think I know the hotel industry is very apt to hear what that looks like on their side, right?
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. So I have a question about just value and bringing value to the table. I know that a lot of event professionals in whatever role that they're in, we all want to bring value.
Mhm.
So I know that Group 360 brings value with the tool, but let's talk about the space for negotiation. Has that ever come up, and is there going to be still space for that? Um, how would that work within the tool?
Well, it works today. So we have two sides of the tool essentially when you go through the process.
Mhm.
So on the RFP side, that's 100% fully negotiable and way to do business with the hotel. So just like you would do today with other legacy platforms, you send your RFP off to the hotels, they respond back with a proposal, we go back and forth and negotiate, and you can
Gotcha.
negotiate whatever you want in that group contract. And you could do that for even a smaller group of 10 to 25 that you could have booked online. That's an option. However, for the smaller groups, great point. Those are typically preset terms and conditions set
Mhm.
either by the chain, the brand, the property. Um, However, we are adding additional functionality to include account driven terms and conditions. For instance,
Yeah.
let's go back to my IBM example. So if I work for IBM and I've got an MSA, a master service agreement with Hilton, Marriott, Hyatt, you name the brand,
Mhm.
I wouldn't feel comfortable doing an online tool because I might feel I get a better deal if I waited till Monday morning to
Mm.
book my event as opposed to doing it on Saturday morning. So what we're working with these major brand partners is saying, hey, provide us your MSAs for the IBMs of the world. So that way when Naomi, the IBM main meeting planner wants to book this on Saturday morning, drinking her cup of coffee, that she feels great and trusts and confidence that this is the best or better deal than she could have gotten by calling the hotel on Monday morning.
Mm. Okay.
And so we'll we're going to be, we've already started piloting this out with one brand. So we'll have more announcements around this here very, very soon. But that's something that is really important to us because our biggest thing that we preach here internally is about trust and confidence for the meeting planner. How do I earn their trust and confidence along the buying process? And we try to do that by giving and providing better information along the way. But also the other part is, how do I make it a personalized experience, AKA bringing your MSA forward in the booking experience so you have access to that.
Mhm. That's great. That's really great. I'm excited to hear about that too. You have a lot on the horizon.
We do. I mean, some more some short term, some long term. That's more on the short term horizon. So yeah, that one will be really exciting to talk about.
Awesome. So tell me, so for event planners that or event professionals that already have, let's say, certain tools in place, and maybe they're looking for a solution, what makes Group 360 stand out from some of the other solutions that we're seeing in this space?
Yeah, I think the simplicity of our search and the information driven search that we have is really, really unique. And obviously the inventory that we have access to for rooms and for meeting space. We have found our meeting planners have found it to save them significant amount of time, not only for those who are instant book eligible, like that 10 to 25 space, but even for the larger meetings and events, right? Just knowing that certain hotels are available in markets when I typically have no visibility to that type of information historically, it's really powerful. So for those folks who are using some other platform today, my thought and my recommendation to you, there's no harm in trying us. It's a free access. There's no fee at all to use Group Sync. And so try us out for either smaller, larger event and see if it saves you time and money. And we believe it will save you time and money. And we'd love to hear your feedback as you experience it for the first time.
That's great. So give it a try. It doesn't hurt to try. Definitely a free go at it. And you'll be pleasantly surprised in how much time you will save yourself.
That's right.
Sounds good. So let's talk about the relationship building within the tool, or the access to the data to national sales managers and different hotel chains. I'm sure they do have access to that, correct? And do you see that this is a supplemental to the relationship that an event professional would have, let's say, with their NSOs?
Absolutely. This is very much in partnership with what you already do with the GSO community. And I came from the GSO world, so I know and understand the value of what a GSO does for their end user consumer, and what they also promote for the hotel community as well.
Right.
And so when you first set up with Groups 360, if you do have a dedicated GSO for any of the major brand partners, whenever you send either an instant booking or you send an RFP, we will notify that appropriate individual that you've told us to identify every time that would happen in Group Sync.
Okay, that's great. And for third parties, I know a lot of third party planners use tools such as this. Is there any, I guess, words to wise when it comes to third party planners and them using Group 360?
Well, today we do have some third party planners who utilize our tool today. However, we're still working with our brand partners, and our brand partners are working with those different third parties, to better say it, on what that commission looks like for instant booking and RFPs on the platform. However, even though all the rates that you see on our platform are net non-commissionable, some of our even third-party planners, just from the time savings of some of the smaller events, they're either saying, one, I'm now on a more of a service fee and a management fee with my customer. That works great for me. Or two, you know what? The time savings I'll have on doing this direct booking versus the contracting experience for the smaller meeting event, I'm better to book this online and focus on the larger, more revenue generating meetings for me and booking these smaller events for my customer online.
Yeah, I see an opportunity there too. With the ease of using the tool, saves you time, and it possibly would save the end customer money as well. So I definitely love the way you answered that question, because they could look at different ways of their fee structure in order to support using Group 360 too.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Awesome. So you're in the technology space. I would love to hear about where you think this is going to go. Because to me, technology enters the picture. I think it's exciting. I think it's grand. But there are some areas where we're going to shift and we're going to change when it comes to embracing the technology. So I would love to hear where you feel this will go eventually and what shifts the industry will have to take in order to embrace it.
So that's the biggest thing, right? We know it's going to change. The biggest thing that we can do as a technology provider is listen, right?
Mhm.
Listen to the planning community, listen to the hotel community, what's working, what's not working, what behaviors are we seeing that we can start seeing behavior shifting so we can modify the searching experience and buying experience for all individuals involved. And I think that's the biggest key, right? Is obviously we have our long-term roadmap of what we're looking to accomplish, right? We believe there's a unique and open space from an attendee perspective of helping attendees to not only book their rooms at the hotels that were already blocked by the main planner, but how do we help them with their airline tickets? How does that work? How do we start working better? We announced a partnership with Destinations International. How do we allow people to better partner with the CVBs and DMOs, and even for that attendee to do their offsite event they might have that's already part of a larger conference? They might want to do it at the same hotel.
Mhm.
And so we believe there's a whole lot in that space that we can accomplish beyond just having more brand partners and more inventory on the platform, which we obviously are already naturally doing today. But so much of what we're focused on, and we've already have done this and have pivoted based on user feedback along the way and user behavior to say, man, this is something that our consumers are really telling us we need to focus on. We might actually really want to take that into consideration. And I think talking to the new users who are out there listening or watching us today is this whole platform has been built based on planner feedback. We have modified based on planner feedback. We literally had 2-week releases into the platform. And every time we have something that was driven from a meeting planner who reached out to us saying, I really wish things did X, Y, and Z. And those updates are now live within our platform. So it's not only built from a great technology stack of what we do, but it's also built from peers, your meeting planner peers have helped us shape the evolution of this platform along the way.
That's awesome. So tell me what your customers are saying about Group360. If I were to ask them, what would they say about the tool?
What I think they would say, first off, they'd say their chief customer officer is the best person ever, would be the first thing. I mean, no,
Of course.
I think, no, I think, no, what our consumers are saying about Group Sync is it's simple, it's easy, and it's saving them time. And it's really kind of fun to watch their feedback after people do their first direct booking. And it's almost a shock to them when they receive a call hours later from the hotel, from somebody in the convention service side or the catering side of the hotel that says, Naomi, thanks so much for booking your meeting. Do you have any questions about the hotel? And they're like, so wait, what do you know about me? And they know your rooms, they know the catering you picked out. And it's really cool to hear them talk about it after they've booked their first direct meeting, because again, it's different. As simple as it sounds of booking groups online, since it hasn't happened yet before, it's super exciting when you do it for the first time. And literally hotels, we booked a meeting for next Tuesday, and I had a call from the hotel hours after the fact of booking it, and saying, hey, super excited to have you here. What else can I help you with? Are you sure you only need one flip chart? Do you want 2 flip charts? And so it's really, truly exciting. So that's why I always say, give it a shot, try it. Because you're asking about like, what are planners saying about it? I think that a new user will experience kind of what we're hearing from that planning community, that it was simple, it was easy, it was fast. And then it was really exciting to get phone calls like that from a hotel who had everything was done. The contract was done, quote unquote, all over. And now we're just talking about finalizing any last minute details I may need directly from the property.
Yeah, I think that is just life-changing. So I think that's amazing. And I can just see so many places. My brain is just thinking of all the places that this will go in the future. So, and speaking of, what do you feel like the next challenge is right now for Group360, and where do you see the company being in the next 5 years?
Yeah, like I had mentioned earlier, again, we're obviously focused on getting more brand partners. Again, we just recently announced Wyndham publicly. We have a few more exciting announcements coming from additional brand partners.
Nice.
So we're going to continue to add rooms and space inventory globally within Group Sync. So that's always going to be our marching order. However, we're really passionate about the attendee experience, about how how does that attendee find out about the event happening? How do they actually simply and easily book their room? I'd mentioned earlier about, booking their airline flight. There's different things down their own buying experience that we could make easier. Again, our job as meeting and event planners is to make things easy for the attendees who come to our meetings, right? So we really want to partner with the planning community and with the folks who attend meetings to figure out ways to make that easier for them.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's great. Tim, thank you so much for just explaining this. And I wanted to give you the opportunity to share anything else about Groups 360 that we probably didn't touch base on, but is there anything else you would like to share?
I mean, I'll always do one last plug. Again, to those never tried Group Sync before, and you've heard us talk about this now for the last 30-ish minutes, and you're getting excited about it, and you're like, man, do I really try it? Again, it's free to use. Head to groupsync.com, hit the register button at the bottom, sign up, send an RFP, do a direct booking, and love to hear your feedback about it and the experience that you have. But I assure you, you'll enjoy it, you'll save time, you'll save money, and hopefully you'll have that same excitement level that we've been hearing our planners have after a first direct booking.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure that they will. Thank you so much. So I have one other question before we wrap today.
Yep.
I don't know if you know this, but we have a book club that we meet every month, and we talk about just professional development books in the industry, and event professionals come together and just use it as a platform to talk about the industry and talk about what we can help change or do better. We would like to know, what is your most recommended book and a book that's changed you?
Wow. I'm going to have to go with an older one that I've read multiple times, but it's old. It's How to Win Friends and Influence People.
That's a good one.
And it's something I've gone back to many times. Again, it's not a new book, folks. It's been out there for years and years, but it's truly one of my favorite business books that I've had in my career.
That's awesome. Thank you. And then one more question for you. Our community talks a lot about reducing stress and well-being. And I just would like to know what you do in order to give yourself a little bit of self-care.
Oh, man, that's a great question. I'm actually, I guess running, biking, and swimming are kind of my things I like to do. First thing in the morning before the kids get crazy, before the workday gets started, is head to the gym, burn off early steam to de-stress, and get yourself mentally prepared for the day.
Great.
So
That's great. I like to hear you doing it because as Chief Customer Officer, I'm sure you're very busy. So I'm glad you're taking that time to focus on you here and there.
absolutely. Well, I'm sure you've been asked this question on other podcasts. I've not heard the answer, but what do you do to relax?
I love to read. I'm a reader. And I do like to just go to the spa and hang out there once in a while. So that's fun. And family always relaxes me. So I like to be with my family a lot.
Yep, agreed. Yeah, family, travel, being around people, agreed.
Mhm. Absolutely. Well, it's been a pleasure, Tim. Thank you so much. And let everyone know how they can contact you or Group Sync. What's the best way to get in contact with the company if they would like to hear more?
To hear more, again, groups360.com, or if you prefer to email us, feel free to send us a note at info at groups360.com.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks again, Naomi. Appreciate the time.
Thank you.